funny voice. I really do not like that voice very much. So yeah, I would like to say hello and welcome to everybody. We are so glad to have you here. Today, I am going to make a confession to you. I decided to hold this meeting, what I would call a workshop in a way, because I'm going to teach you a couple of things here. But I I started this meeting. I wanted to do this particular meeting because I was in a rage. I was seeing something that I didn't like, that I felt I had to speak out against, and that is the spurious nature of the way some people use magic, and use magic only for their own good, only so that they can manifest more, do more, get more, and it just feeds into the greed that we see all over the world right now. I call myself a radical magical activist. So that means that I will use discriminately, of course, magic for the greater good of people who need it. And right now, this world needs so much help, so much support, and um, and it is really important that as we go along, as we think about doing magic, as we are looking at creating magic in the world, that we also have a certain amount of ethics and morals that go with that. It's the indiscriminate use of will to power that is very often the greatest fault, and what causes the greatest harm. And so I'm still letting people in. So I want to tell you a little bit of something about me, so you know why it is. I feel like I can speak with confidence about this topic. So I have been a pagan for 30 years. And I was very, very lucky that in 1996, I was able to join a coven in Ringwood near the New Forest. And if you are in the UK, you know that New Forest was the place in the UK where there were the most wonderful covens. And I spent the first year of my work as a coven priest, or as a covener. I spent on the outer circle, that means, or the outer court, which means that I was washing up cups, and I was a handmaiden, and I was fetching and carrying. And for that, I was allowed to join the coven on their Esbats and Sabbats. And I felt privileged to do that. It was like a preparation, an apprenticeship. These days, people want everything right away. They want the greatest mysteries right away without doing any work whatsoever to deserve it. And then what happens is that they actually don't have a good foundation. They don't have a good foundation in what we really believe. If you believe in magic, if you think that you have the will to power, that you can do things, change things, create things, destroy things, then you must also have a patient way of working, because magic can heal, magic can harm. And that is one of the things that that's why one of the major tenets of the Wiccan read is do no harm. So I then, in 2003, I was having off my own coven. I moved from Wales to no, sorry, I moved from Basingstoke to Wales, and there I met the goddess Cerridwen. Cerridwen is the witch in the bunch. When you look at Celtic mythology, Cerridwen is the witch in the bunch, and also she is the witch that creates spells through working with nature, working with the astrology, working with song, working with sound, working with crystals. She really is the one that holds us and helps us understand what magic is capable of. But even in her story, and this is a story that was first written down in the 12th century, even in her story, it says very clearly that the spell that she is creating took a year and a day. And it was a symbiosis between constant rhythmic stirring, the dynamic, the activation of a brew. And she was the one that was placing the ingredients into the brew, and she was the one that was singing the spell songs for each of the items into the brew. It was a huge undertaking. She had another person putting wood under the fire. So there was three people really, and of course the water, the fire, and the herbs. creating this particular spell. So it was a long time. It was a long time in coming. And I think that was one of the things that she taught me very early on in her work with me, is that we have patience and that we work hard to achieve what we wish to achieve. So after that, in 2011, I contracted lymphoma, or developed lymphoma, and there was a real fear, because several people in my family have died of that illness. We have an immune system issue that will bring cancer forward, and so I've lost quite a few loved ones through cancer. Now, whether you believe me or not, and I leave that to you, one of the things that I did in order to heal myself was use my voice. I was working with some of the techniques that are taught by Chloe Goodchild. And one of the things is the Sariga exercise that I did literally every day, several times a day, singing my body back to health, singing my lymph system back to health. 6 weeks later, I was retested, and the doctor said, well, we don't know what happened there. You have something, and it may eventually kill you, but not right now. And I thanked Cerridwen for that. I thanked Cerridwen for the gift of more time. It is now 2025. I'm a grandmother with 3 grandchildren, and I'm still around. So, magic works. And when my time comes, I will accept that with grace, because it wasn't my time then. But then what happened was really interesting. I always say that Cerridwen, especially, when we don't listen, when we are not seeing the signs, when we are not listening to what we are meant to do, she has a bit of a tough way of showing us it's time to change, it's time to transform, it's time to go ahead and find a new way. And some of you have heard that story, but I had my hand broken. I was a teacher, and I had my hand broken by a pupil, and I had to be on sick leave for a year. And in that year, I really, really went through a dark night of the soul. I never lost faith in Goddess. I never lost faith in my abilities. I never lost faith in my community and my priestess sisters. But it was a tough time, because it's very isolating and very lonely. And so what I did is I learned, I educated myself, and I did work, my magical work, where usually you're too busy to do the full moon rituals or the celebrations and the dark moon rituals. This time, it was almost like Cerridwen said, hold up, slow down, let me do this for you. Take your time, learn more, become properly and willfully, in a way, educated. And it was a great time. In 2012, I decided to move to Glastonbury. First, I was a bit of a transient in a caravan, like so many of us are. But then it was very clear that this was where I was meant to be. And in 2015, I was initiated as a priestess of Cerridwen first. And before that, although I'd worked with her for 12 years, I didn't want to be a priestess. I didn't feel the need to be a priestess. I didn't feel that I wanted to be, a public priestess. But Goddess tells you what they want you to hear. Goddess shows you the pathway. Goddess says to you, you are needed here. Are you ready? Are you brave enough? Are you going to do this? And so then in 2016, I became a priestess of Avalon. And since then, I have a beautiful community here that I've done lots and lots of things with. But one of the things when I first came to Avalon and I first joined the priestess community was the abject fear they had whenever I mentioned the word magic. And when I say abject fear, I mean fear. At one point, when we opened Goddess House, and I had a beautiful room in Goddess House. If you're not familiar with Goddess House, this is one of our places that we hold here in Avalon. And when we had to redecorate. And so what I did is what I always do when I come into a new house and I redecorate. I always wash the walls with salt, water, and then I put sigils all over the walls and all over the doors and all around the windows. Now, I don't know if you've ever done that, but I call, witches call them wards. We're basically warding off anything that is not to the greatest good of all of us. So what I did is I put these beautiful, and I mean, we're not talking about, um, I don't know, satanistic symbols or things like that. It was hearts, and it was infinity signs, and it was the pentagram, which probably freaked some people out. But when I came back the next day to paint the room, I was pulled up by the people who were working in Goddess House with me, and I was told in no uncertain terms that they didn't want my witchy shit in there. They were terrified that if people found out that witches work in Goddess House, apparently they've been working for a long time against being called witches. So, so there I was told, yes, you are painting over everything, but please don't do anything else that identifies you as a witch. And I was a bit taken aback because I was like, well, hold on a minute. You've got Cerridwen in the northwest of your wheel of Avalon, and Cerridwen is the witch. How can you work like that? And how can you, in 2016, 2017, still be so afraid to call yourself a witch? But they didn't want that. And then a couple of things happened that they felt was possibly a retribution against my openly being a witch. So that is sort of my story. In 2023, we opened the Temple of Cerridwen in Avalon. We now have a beautiful place of our own. And there we are the witches. We are the radical, magical activists and feminists, and we love it. And there we can, we can prepare spells for people. We very often make warding spells or protection spells or banishing things, or we don't usually use compelling magic. So this is why I feel that I have every right and every authority to speak about the magic. Now, I call myself a spellcrafter. I don't use the term witch because it has a lot of negative connotation. It's not because I'm afraid, but it's actually not a term that we would have called ourselves. In Wales, where my family comes from, we call ourselves Suin Uraig or Suin Ur, which is the magic woman or the magic man, because they're both there. Witches were not really recognized in Wales because it's not part of their language. But the magic was always recognized there. It was always alive, and it's still alive there today. And it is still alive in all of you today as well. Now, without wanting to upset anyone, there is magic in all of us. But first of all, it depends on how much magic and how you cultivate your magic. How do you cultivate your magic? Do you do your practices? There are certain practices that we will talk about that a witch or a spellcaster should do. It's spiritual cleansing, spiritual cleaning. It's it's like a spiritual gym. You're making your muscle, your magical muscle, stronger. So one of the questions I'm often asked is, does magic only flow from the goddess? Well, not in our tradition. Not in our tradition, because we actually have a very famous magician in the Celtic tradition, Gwydion, and he is a bit of a naughty boy. He uses his magic for not for good. So very early on, I learned that magic is magic. It's a neutral thing. It is how you use it and what your intention is. That makes it, I don't like the term black magic, but that makes magic good or bad, so to speak. And he is actually one of our tales of caution. How, when you become aware that you have a power within you, that you might get arrogant and you might use that power not for good. And very, very early on, we are very often told magic is dangerous. Be aware. It can spin out of control. If you don't hold the magic in yourself, if you can't control the magic that you create, you can harm people. And the first rule is, especially in Wicca, harm none. But are there any boys? Are there any other boys? So one of the people that we work with is Merddwyn Wicht, or as you call him, and he's Emrys to us as well, and as you call him, Merlin, is one of the spellcasters that is in our tradition. Taliesin, the son of Cerridwen. Not Arthur, because Arthur is only a vessel, and it is when Arthur becomes contra the goddess that he loses all magic ability. Morvran ap Tegid, Avakthi, the son of Cerridwen. Tegid, the husband of Cerridwen. But we also work with other beings. For example, one of my favorite people to work with is Anubis. I work a lot with people who are in the dying process. So Anubis is one of the people that I love working with. And he is an amazing being. But I also like Hades. He's the bad boy. He is the lord of the underworld in Greek mythology. He's the bad boy. And when you need something sorting, let's say somebody annoys you, you can call on Hades to give a hand. However, as always in magic, there has to be a reciprocation. So what are you prepared to give up in order to get something back? And that's the interesting thing. And then, of course, there is Thoth, or Thoth as we call him, in the Egyptian, the Lord of Magic himself. So magic depends on your, you're honing your sixth sense. We human beings, we often think that we have five senses: touch, sound, taste, whatever, all the others. But actually, the one that we really need to hone is our sixth sense, is that part of us that is still in the back of our heads that makes us understand when there is something in the area all around us. Yeah, sometimes it is, people talk about auric fields. I mean, I'm not going to go into all of that because most of you will already know about that. But magic depends on us honing our sixth sense. And that's what I would like to do with you today. And it is always the first thing that I do with people, because people need to understand that what they're creating from their psychic skill base, from their psychic skills, is actually something that they can physically manifest in the world. So what does that mean? You have to be able to really find your imagination, find your inspiration, find a place of peace in yourself, a place where you can retreat and focus on what's happening on the other planes, because we are not the only plane. Our physical plane is not the only plane in the world. There are many, many more. But one of the most important places is the astral plane, or the divine plane, where we work. So your psychic skill is your connection with all of the parts of you. First of all, you are in the center. First of all, if you don't understand yourself, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you're capable of, you cannot do any magic, not real magic. Now, as I said earlier, my talk today, or my workshop today, is all about rage, sacred rage, as we call it. And one of the things that I am very, very clear on is that dilettantes do not need apply. Now, I'm with Dion Fortune on that, and Doreen Valiente, and I am with Dolores Ashcroft Nowicki on that. Dilettantes do not belong into spell crafting, because unless you've done your work, and after my first year in the outer court, I did 3 years of training to know what I'm doing. And then for the rest of my life, I have been constantly working on honing my skills. So in order to do that, in order to do magic, in order to make something happen, and I mean, most of the time, these people are so clueless, they read a book and they watch a video on TikTok or whatever, that they can't actually do any harm. But the moment you try and do magic, there's a taxi light that goes on over your head. You come to the notice of the beings in the other realms. And some of those beings are very beautiful, and they're master teachers, and they're beautiful, loving presences in the realms. But then there are also the ones who are dangerous and who wish to be a passenger in your body. So when you open yourself up by creating some sort of spellcraft, and you see this here in Avalon a lot, we call them the space cadets. You can literally feel a presence in their body, and you can feel or see behind their eyes somebody else looking at you. So when we work on any kind of spell crafting, we make sure that we are fully protected. And the first thing that my students learn, and I've got one or two here of them, is to protect yourself. And there are a myriad of things that you can do to protect yourself. But the whole point is we don't just go through the motions. When I say you need to protect yourself, you have to practice that. It's a bit like you becoming a piano player. You can tap on the keys not knowing what you're doing, which is how most people on TikTok are. Not that I'm on TikTok, I will say that now. But then you have the people who can do a beautiful song, do justice to a couple of beautiful songs. And then you have the virtuosos who really know what they're doing and who actually can mix and match some of the things that they're playing. And that's what the same with magic. You start slow, you start small, you start with yourself, you start finding a way to protect yourself, and you start finding a way how to hold energy. It's the energy that you're holding wherever you want to hold it, and we'll do an exercise for that. But the magic that you're holding is the magic that you're sending out towards your intention. And the more magic, the more energy you can hold, the more energy you can create, you can bring forward, the more and the easier your spell will come true. Now, I am going to say, before we start properly, there is death magic and blood magic. We are not going to talk about that because there are certain things that we don't ever talk about. Those who know, those who don't know don't need to know. And that is the truth of the matter. Aleister Crowley is one of our very circumnavigated teachers. He was a wild card. He was a wild person, but he was also a genius when it came to magic. And one of the things that he used to say, and that comes from him, is harm none, do what you will. Basically, love is the will. As long as you work from love, as long as you are creating and doing spellcrafting that comes from love, whether that's love for yourself or love for somebody else or love for the world, you're okay. When you start creating magic out of anger, which is why I don't do that, I just talk about it. But when you do that, it can go really haywire. And you've all seen the movies. So one of the things that we are working on when we start is visualization. Now, lots and lots of people these days talk about visualization. They talk about guided meditation. They talk about journeying, and they talk about path working, and they're mixing and matching it all. Now, one is not the same as the other. These are totally different things, and they are on totally different levels. Now, I'm not going to make you learn path working or something like that today, but visualization, for example, our imagination, we all have, as children at one point have been told that our imagination is something that's not wanted. You may not necessarily remember it, but it is a way to shutting down the magic in anyone, because the ability to see pictures in your mind's eye is the opening portal to the other realms, is the way to create will to power. If you can visualize it, you can do a spell for it. And I've only ever met maybe one or two people out of the hundreds of people that I've taught and met that couldn't visualize anything. And I was really surprised at that. I hadn't got a clue. I have been told these days that it is actually quite hard for somebody with ADHD or autism to do visualizations. But I'm hoping that those of you who are here are actually going to be able to do this. Before we go into that, I would like to explain to you one of the theories that I work with. Now, I'm very keen on sacred geometry, and I believe that there is a sacred triangle in our heads. So I would like you to visualize, if you can, your mind's eye, which is at the front of your head. And perhaps you can close your eyes if you need to. Perhaps you can literally visualize an eye there. Can you visualize an eye right in the center of your forehead? And when you visualize that, can you visualize it closed? And when you visualized it closed, can you see it open slowly? And when it has opened, look into that eye. Is it the same color as your physical eyes? Very often, your third eye is a very particular color. Now, I'm not going to mention which color, but if you have something to write with, I'd like you to write down whether or not your third eye is the same color as your physical eyes. And if not, what color is it? If you manage to see your third eye open and you could look into it, I'd like you to tell me, or write down, not tell me, but write down whether it is the same color. And what significance does that have? Well, I will explain that. Then I'd like you to go upwards from your third eye to your crown. And as you're doing that, I would like you, in your mind's eye, to draw a line from your third eye to your crown. The point of your crown is right up here, yeah? But it is from the inside that you're drawing that line. And then if you can, look up as if you're standing inside your head, look up and see whether your crown is open or closed. Now that sounds really easy, doesn't it? Is your crown open or closed? Everybody will ask you that, but they never really explain how that could be. So some people see a white lotus and they see a closed lotus, or then it opens. And it's actually one of the most important things that you have to learn is to how to open and close your crown at will. Because if you don't know how to do that and you open it and you don't know how to close it again, you may well be open to psychic attack. Yeah. So this is the proviso. Don't open it unless you don't know how to close it. But just look at the top and see. Sometimes it's like a canyon. It opens and closes. The earth it's like a canyon in the earth, or a rip in the earth that opens and closes. Sometimes it's a white or red rose. However you see, visualize your crown opening and closing. It doesn't matter. Just you need to be able to see it. And you learn, and as I'm speaking, I don't know about you guys, but feeling into my crown immediately gives me a feeling of cold, or a feeling of burning, or it could be like 1,000 ants are running over my head, the cribbling as we call it. There is a physical sensation when you open and close your crown. Sometimes people get headaches. That's when your crown is not closed and you're leaving it open too long. The crown cannot cope with that. It can open for a little while, but then it has to close. You cannot leave your crown wide open. A, it's dangerous, even though if you have protection on it, and B, it is quite painful. And so there is that energy that you're closing and opening at will. It is your will that does this. And then the third part of the triangle is right behind your head, and it is between your skull and your last vertebrae of your spine. And we call that the psychic gateway. Now, many other cultures have words for that. Some people call it, I think in India, is called the Anj or something like that. Now, I'm not Indian, and I don't follow an Eastern path, so I tell you what I call it. It's a psychic gateway. So I'd like you to do now is to travel to that point in the back of your head. And I'd like you to visualize A door. Now, I always love these, like here in Glastonbury, we have these amazing portal doors in the Chalice Well or something. These like a garden gate, an old-fashioned garden gate with one of those ring things that you have to turn to open it. And the way to check your psychic health is by looking at this gate in your mind's eye. You look at the gate, you see whether it's overgrown. You see whether the hinges are well oiled or whether they're rusted, and you try the ring to open it. So you're trying the ring to open it and pull it towards you to open your psychic gateway. Only ever do that when you feel that you are in a safe space. So this is the psychic gateway. And for me, it literally is. And it's very interesting when you open the psychic gateway, what lies behind it. That will tell you the state of your psychic health right now. So when you open that gate and you look beyond the gate and you see whatever you're seeing, if it is a pleasant, if it is an organized, if it is an orderly picture of something, yeah, fine, you're all right. But when it's dark, overgrown, chaotic, maybe a landscape over which thunder and lightning is, then there is an issue with your psychic gateway. There is an issue with your psyche. And your psyche, if you know anything about Greek, is your soul. And that's one of the ways to see whether your soul is actually in order. Is your soul feeling well? Is your soul calm? Is your soul in a state of joy? Or is there an issue? Is there an issue between you and your soul? And that is the psychic sacred triangle. And when I work with clients, I always check whether their sacred triangle is unobstructed and is well. And I often see it like, so you know, those neon signs, and I literally see a blue light going through the connection of all 3 points. And if the light pulsates calmly, nicely, then the person has a balanced psyche. If they don't, if it is erratic or it's not there at all, then there is an issue. And when you know that you have an issue like that, you never, ever attempt any kind of magical working. So the first thing that I would like to do with you now is what we often do is for you to close your eyes and we ground and center. Now, grounding and centering is one of the most important things. And I know lots and lots of people have different ways of doing it. Why do we ground and center? Well, if you're not grounded in the earth, if you are not in your own balance center, if you're not okay, as I said before, any kind of magical working that you attempt may go sideways. You may invite in energies that are not to the highest good of you. You may disconnect from what is really, or be disconnected from what is really holding you in this reality. And it's not good to just go floating off. It is not good. When you do magic, it's a bit like let me think about, you sewing something on, with one of those what you call it, hand held or mechanical saws. Yeah, it's man at work, it's woman at work, it's safety goggles on, helmet on, safety gloves. You have got to be protected. And the grounding and centering is your next step in knowing whether or not you're ready for any kind of magical work. So I will just take you through that fairly quickly. Those of you who have never done this work before, I would like to remind you that I'm quite advanced in what I'm doing. Although I'm going through the basics, some of the things that I may think are easily to understand, you may think, what the hell is she talking about? And I will apologize for that. And if you want to, you can write me a chat message and let me know if I go too fast. But the grounding and centering is actually a really beautiful exercise that is useful in any place, whether you are at work and you're having a tough time, somebody is getting on your nerves, you're about to lose your temper with somebody at home, whatever. Grounding and centering is a really lovely, lovely exercise. And you have to remember that although I'm speaking the grounding and centering, really what I want you to do is seeing what I'm telling you to do. So closing your eyes and feeling very, very, very comfortable sitting on your root chakra that is right below you. You take a deep breath in, and we usually suggest that you breathe in through your nose and you breathe out through your mouth. It just helps you relax more. It is a different way of breathing that takes your consciousness to your body. So breathing in, hold it for a second, and then breathe out. And I want you to really clear your lungs. You need to clear your lungs completely. Breathing in, hold for a second, and breathe out. And really push the breath out. You're maintaining a lot of debris in your lungs. And while you're breathing nice and deep and breathing out, you're getting rid of all of that debris. You're clearing your lungs. So breathing in, hold for a second, and that alone in itself already makes you feel a lot more calm and feeling in your body. And then traveling down with your consciousness to the soles of your feet. I'd like you to feel the energy centers in the sole of your feet opening, and from them sprout little roots. Little roots, green or red, whatever is your favorite color. And as you have your feet firmly on the floor, those roots are going into whatever you're standing on at the moment, and deeper, going into Mother Earth, feeling that moist or dry at the moment, moist air, earth, feeling comfortable and pushing deeper into Mother Earth, rooting themselves into Mother Earth. And with them rooted into Mother Earth, so will you be. They go past all the roots of the plants that they see. They go down, 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 deeper into the Mother Earth, past the bones of the ancestors, past the stones of the ancient seas, down into the caves of the crystals, through those crystals, back deeper into Mother Earth, until you're right at the middle in that hot, molten lava heart of Mother Earth. And you wrap that little root around the heart of Mother Earth. And then you're breathing up her warm, loving energy through those roots. So if you have that picture in your head, try and breathe in that loving Mother Earth energy through the roots of your body. So breathing in and pulling the energy up, 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 and breathing out. Breathing in, pulling the energy up, 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 and breathing out. And on the next breath, you feel the energy entering your body through the soles of your feet. And you may feel a slight tingle. You may feel a little bit of warmth running through your legs, through your thighs, up into your yoni space, breathing up again. That beautiful energy of Mother Earth up into your body, past your solar plexus, cleansing and clearing any doubts, any worries, any fears. Breathing in, up into your heart. And take another deep breath in so you can fill your heart with that loving energy of Mother Earth, that warm earth energy. And feel the bliss of that warm connection with your loving mother. And then breathing up into your heart more and more of that energy. And now you feel the connection, and we often describe it as a silver thread. releasing from the heart and following up to your upper heart, to your throat, through that sacred triangle, opening your crown. You may feel a little bit like a waterfall on top of your head, and opening that crown and bringing that little thread all the way up through all the layers of the world, earth around us, and then into the cosmic darkness where we see the silver stars blinking and shining. And one of them is your mother star. It will probably blink and shine much, much brighter than all the others. Use your little thread and twist it around your mother star and hear the welcome that you're getting from your mother star, because you are a star seed come to earth. And as you're breathing in, she pours the liquid crystalline energy of the stars into your thread, into your connection, and like a cascade of this beautiful energy is coming down the thread and down into your crown, and you can literally feel that cooling, silvery, crystalline energy flowing into your head. And from there, it goes down, down into your body, clearing and cleansing all your cells, all the bones of anything that is no longer needed. And then it comes into your heart, and there it mixes and mingles with the earth energy, and you see the sparkling red, and you feel the energy like effervescent, like champagne bubbles, opening your heart wider. Breathe into that for a moment. Feel the calm that descends on you. Feel the bliss that is in you. Feel the energy of love and light that is coming into your body through your connection with Mother Earth and the Star Mother. And as you're breathing in, we're going to call in the goddess and all the guides and helpers, because we never, ever do any kind of work, celebration, ritual, or whatever, without calling on our beloved goddess. So if you feel like it, just keep breathing, keep your eyes closed, and I call to Cerridwen and all the other goddesses and gods and everybody else who wishes to be here. So hail and welcome Cerridwen, Mamas Bredoliaeth, Brenhine Thoranun, great dark mother of us all. We welcome you here in our place, in our sacred space, our body. We welcome you. You welcome your protection, your care, your love for us, your unconditional love for us. And we call upon all the guides and helpers, all the gods and goddesses that wish to be with us here at this moment of time, at this precise time of doing good in the world. And we ask you to be with us, surround us, show us your presence. All the guides, the great teachers, the netters, all of those, please come in and be with us now. And as you feel into the atmosphere where you're sitting now, you may well feel a change in energy. You may feel that somebody has joined you where you are sitting. Somebody that is important to you, somebody that takes care of you, that loves you, that is always there even if you don't see them. We all have a team of protectors. So Cerridwen, please come be with us, hold us, dark mother of us all. Allow us to partake of your special brew, and as you will it, so mote it be. Blessed be. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes again. And you may feel into yourself now. If you want to, make a note. Has anything changed? Has your energy changed? Do you feel something? Sometimes for me, it's down my back. I can feel hands on my shoulders, but I can also feel a cloak of protection all around me. But there's always a physical energy that is giving me the strength and the courage. And it always tells me that I am protected, that she is with us, whomever she is for you. And so we come to a place where we might wish to look at ourselves. Very often, nowadays, everywhere, if you're in any way connected to the spiritual development world, there's a lot of talk about empowering yourself, empowering others, being empowered by the goddess, being empowered by God, being empowered by nature. It's all about power. But nobody ever asks you the question, if you have all that power, if you're granted that power, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to act differently in your life once you have all the power? And this is what spellcrafters have to ask themselves right at the beginning of their work, right at the beginning of their training. Because the person to train you will always keep an eye on you to make sure that you don't go schizo, as we call it, and start doing things that are way out of your safety line. Do you sometimes feel that you cannot make a difference in a world that is so troubled right now that a lot of people have lost hope? And do you believe that you can empower yourself without the aid of beings from the other realms? Because a lot of people, when you talk to them these days about witchcraft or spellcrafting, they think it all comes from them. And that's a fallacy. Your empowerment, should you care to receive it, comes from a higher being. I'm not mandating which higher being that is, but it is your connection with the divine. It's your connection with your protectors. It's your connection with your guides and helpers, with maybe a being from the other realms that gives you the power. The power flows through you. You do not create that power. We as human beings are not that powerful. But what you can do, and what we are, is a vessel, which means we can hold the power. We can hold the power within us and all around us. Lots of people talk about the auric fields. What are they really? And what are the other realms? It's not often very well explained. And also, people get bored by long explanations. You're probably bored by now. But the fact is, without the long explanations, there comes a point where you go, oh, what the hell am I actually doing? What am I talking about? What is this? What am I doing here? And it is really like that. So I would like you to think about, how can you strengthen and how can you create through the power of the being with whom you are connected. And what are the realms? They are different words for different realms all around us. If you're looking on YouTube, I did it for a joke the other day, and I was just typing in, tell me what are the other realms? Yeah, I mean, I don't do AI. AI and I are not friends, but YouTube is really good. And there were all sorts of people using different terms for the same thing. So what are the other realms? You have this physical realm. Here in Avalon, we are in the physical world, in Glastonbury, physical Glastonbury, down the high street, shops and everything, crystal shops, the co-op, whatever. But right next to that, like an onion skin, lies Avalon. For us as priestesses, Avalon is almost like a layover. Do you remember these old projectors where you used to have these plastic leaflets or something, and used to lay them over and they would become a different thing? That's exactly what Avalon is for us. So we have Glastonbury, everyday Glastonbury, reality check Glastonbury, and then all around us in the same place lies Avalon. And Avalon is a totally different realm. Some people call it dimensions. Science actually talks about different dimensions. Spiritual development people talk about higher planes or other planes. So then there is another reality or another layover. There are lots and lots of layovers for people who come to this particular place, the heart chakra of the world, as some people call it. So what are those realms and how can we traverse them? It's very interesting that and I don't want to really get into that too much because it's such a big topic and we only have a certain amount of time. But the fact is that we believe, in my tradition, that we can travel to these realms and we can act on those realms. We can act in those realms. And what happens in those realms also acts upon the mundane realm, the physical realm in which we are here. So we can interchange energetically. We can exchange energies. So I'm going to ask you now, and you probably have done this. You may have already forgotten you've done this before. But one of the first things that they teach you when they talk about energy and other realms is the exercise where you take your hands. Now, the palms of your hands, my hands are different to yours, so please forgive me. But the palms of your hands have got energy fields in them. They're called minor energy fields. In my opinion, they're very important energy fields. But your hands are what can direct radiatory energy. So that means you can radiate energy out of your heart, out of your third eye, and out of your hands. That's what we use when we do energy healing. But how can we create and feel energy? How can we really know there is something around us that is different, that is actually present? Now you already know we have air. We can't see air, but we can breathe air. We know it's there. Because I tell you something, when there's no air, you'll know about it. We can also feel the electric energy that is all around us. And that's what we're going to talk about now. In order to create a condensed energy that I want to use for something, I will now show you how to do that. What we're looking for is to create an energy ball. We are condensing energy. We're going to pull more and more energy into this ball. We're going to make it like a snowball, yeah? Nice, firm snowball of energy. And then at one point, I'm going to ask you to think about a place that you would like to send that energy. And then visualize it if you can, or just visualize the name. And then we're going to throw it there. Are you ready for that? Yeah? So the way to do it is to rub your fingers, yeah? Rub your hands, rub your hands, rub your hands. And do that quite long. Rub your hands, make proper heat. Heat, fire, 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 fire. This is your fire element in your body. Rub, 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 rub. Opening your energy field. See it, visualize a mandala in the center of your hand and just rub them together. Rub, 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 rub. Make it nice and hot. Hot, 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 hot. Hot stuff. We are hot stuff. And then what I'd like you to do is hold your hand out and bring in, like you would snow, into the palm of your hand and start compacting it. Start compacting the energy. Use your other hand, bring some more energy in, place it, visualize the ball of energy that you have got. Compact the energy, hold the energy. You can almost feel how your hands want to get together. They want to come together after you've rubbed them so much. Make this a proper golden globe snowball. Bring in some more energy. Pull out your arm and put your energy, make the ball bigger, make it firmer, make it stronger. Now, what I'd like you to do is bring in energy from above, asking Goddess, asking the Star Mother to make more energy for you. Give yourself more energy. And what you can feel at one point is that you can't actually close your hands anymore. Your hands are finding a resistance. This is how you know you're actually compacting energy. This is a beautiful golden and now maybe silver streaks of ball of energy. Now bring up down the end, go down to Mother Earth and ask her for some of her red, heated, hot energy. Heat, hot. So now your ball is starting to grow and grow. It's almost the size of a ball, like for a small child, and compacted. Feel the energy. If you feel that you're losing it, rubbing, 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 move in more energy, move in more energy. Beautiful energy. See the energy growing, see it flowing. You are the architect of this ball. You are creating this by bringing the energy in and compacting it, right? Now hold it nicely between your hands. Feel the energy. Feel the energy really strongly. And now, if you can really feel the energy, you could feel heat in the palm of your hand where your energy ball is holding, yeah? And now if you can, either see the place, the person, the event. See the place, the person, the event. And see your ball growing, glowing, stronger, better. You are pouring now hard love energy into it. Hold the ball before your heart. Start pushing, pushing, pushing more energy into it. This is your hard love energy that you want to give to these beings, these people, whoever it is, yeah? Growing, growing, pouring the energy in, making it firm, firming. And it's this energy, this way, yeah, firming, energetic firming. And now, if you can, think about the place that he wants to go. And I know it feels a little bit daft, but close your eyes, see the place, and then reach out and toss the ball of energy right where you want it to be. See it exploding in the nicest possible way into that situation, into that place, into that energy. See it directed where it needs to go and feel it hit the target gently and bring the energy to those who need it. Now, this is something that we can do on a daily basis. This is something we can do wherever we are, even if you're sitting at work. If anybody asks, tell them you're doing exercises. But it really is important to know that you have power. Now, the heat in your hands will slowly fade, but it will make you a reminder how powerful you are. Today is the anniversary of the attacks on the 7th of the 7th, and I've sent my energy to the families of the people who lost their life. But I've also sent it to all the places where there is war and violence, because in these troubled times, they need our help. And I can't travel to Palestine, I can't travel to the Ukraine, but I can send my energy there. And I hope that whatever we've done here today, that you know that you have the power for good, that you can do something to help these people. And as you're doing that, this is a very, very basic exercise. But if you can feel the energy in your hands, if you can feel the heat you've generated, if you can feel and see the ball of energy that you've generated, and you can make it as big as you like, then you are starting to hone your psychic muscle. And if we do that on a daily basis, if just the people who are watching this today did that on a daily basis, can you imagine how much positive energy, good energy would come into the world? Just think that you are able to make a difference in the world. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the beings that we might meet as we are going to our expansion development, our spiritual evolution. Very early on in my youth, I used to see the Earth from space. Don't know if you've ever done that, that you floated above the Earth in your dreams, in your visions. As a child, I used to fly above the Earth. And one of the things that I saw was all around the Earth was a net. And on that net, there were these nodes where they would make little squares for the net. Yeah. And those nodes would be blinking lights. And sometimes those blinking lights would be all over the net. And sometimes the net would be mostly dark. And for years, I wondered what the heck that was all about. Why did I keep seeing this image? Why was it haunting my dreams? Why was this something that was important? Then, years ago, I read something about the masters of the net. And what these people were beings that were holding the energy of the net around the world, around our planet. They were the master teachers that would call upon people to help them keep the lights on. When the times are tough on this planet, and really, to be quite honest, when you think about, yes, we have 2 wars going on, probably more than that, and there is a lot of violence in the world. But when you think about it, we also are much, much better off than our parents and our grandparents and their parents. We have a lot of gifts in this world. But when people become accustomed to those gifts, they begin not to appreciate them. And so there is a sort of discontent that is going round. People are discontented. Enough is not enough. We see that everywhere in this world right now. And what the masters of the net would convey to myself and others is that discontent was creating an outage, a power outage on the net. And that is when the world would not be protected from any of the outside energies. Now, the outside energies are not good or bad, they are just. But what they can do is they can interfere with things on this planet. I hope you're still following me. I hope you still follow me. So what I'd like you to do is to actually visualize. And oh yeah, I was going to say, years later, there was a movie that came out with one of my favorite actors called Keanu Reeves. You might have heard of the movie called The Matrix. And actually, what the Matrix movie is based on is exactly that. Sacred geometry, the net, the masters of the net, the protectors of the planet. But that is just an aside. So if you want to, if you can, I'd like you to either close your eyes or leave your eyes open if you can. And I'd like you to see yourself lifting from this planet, going through the beautiful blue sky, going towards the sun, not too close. Know what happens to Daedalus. And going up through the atmospheres and the stratospheres, all the way up into the darkness of the cosmos. And for a moment, I'd like you to just see yourself gently resting in the arms of the cosmic star mother. Just lie up there for a minute. Kick your shoes off, hold your hands out, and just float in this enormous cosmic energy that is so healing to all of us. And behind me, you can sort of see, it's funny, this is so funny. I didn't choose that for this specific exercise. Didn't even know I was going to do this exercise with you. But there it is. That's what I want you to see. And then I'd like you to see yourself hovering over the planet. Now, you're not alone there. There are lots of people around you. You can see left and right people, and you may recognize some of them. Just look left and right, other way around, and see if there's somebody you recognize. And then I want you to hold your hands out and grab hold of the person next to you, palm to palm. And then hold on to the person to your left, palm to palm. And if you are really holding that energy, you will now feel a flow of energy coming in from those palms and going out of yours. If you hold your hands out as if you are holding somebody else's hand, you can feel your palms getting hotter and hotter. You may even feel prickling in your palms. And that has nothing to do with the fact that you're stretching out your arms. You're energetically, where you're sitting, connecting with the people that are right this moment, the protectors of planet Earth. You are in the grid, in the good way, not in the matrix kind of way. And so you see, if you can, all around the planet, you see the people that are with you, holding that space, holding the perimeter, holding the energy, so nothing else can disturb the peace of our planet. And then as you're looking down on the planet, slowly but surely, a net begins to appear. It just appears out of nowhere. It was dark, really dark. You couldn't see it before. But now, on the nodes, there's a little pinprick of light. One of those pinpricks is your light. The light that you are creating as you're holding other people's hand, as you are putting your energy into bringing hope and peace and love into the world. So visualize that net now. There is another light starting to glow. There's another light starting to glow. There's another light starting to grow. More and more lights are coming back on. What was once completely dark is now starting to glow. See the lights coming on again in the net around our planet. And feel the energy flowing between all those people. The whole point of today's exercise is to know that you can act in unison with others, whether you've met them or not, if you trust and you combine your energy magic with others for the best version of all. So this is what the masters of the net, the teachers that we are listening to, are asking us to do now. In order for us to help awaken the magic in us, hone our skills of magic in us, the first thing we need to do is serve the greater good, serve the planetary peace and hope. That's our job right now. Before we ever think about, I could do with a bigger house, I could do with. So let that picture slowly fade from your mind, but be aware that you can hold that energy and revisit that picture at any point in your busy day. Let's say you're standing by the water cooler at work. Just let that energy come into your head and send in some more energy. The masters of the net have been with us almost since the dawn of time. And actually, the Egyptian gods were not called gods in their language, but netters. And very often when you see the early hieroglyphs or cave paintings, you see someone casting a net. And of course, normal people, the archaeologist, would probably tell you that that net is just in order to get fish. But actually, it is to catch the rays of energy that are in the world around you. And behind everything in the universe is an invisible energy matrix, a blueprint of all physical manifestation, that are the building blocks for the manifestation that we are asking for. So here's the deal that is made for us: reciprocal energy. And it has to be energy that comes from the heart. If you wish to learn how to manifest for yourself, the first thing you must do is learn how to manifest for the planetary health. We often work with sacred geometry. Very often we work with all sorts of, forms. I mean, for protection, I wear a pentagram. Most people do that are pagan. The Jewish people wear the Star of David. The Egyptian people wear the Ankh. Every culture has their own symbol that protects them, that holds their energy. But when you think about it, whether it is the infinity sign or the pentagram or the Star of David, each and every one of those has to do with sacred geometry. What does that actually mean? Geo means earth, and metry means measurements. We are taking the divine blueprint of consciousness and energy, and we are working with that. If you wish to manifest something, if you really need something, if something needs to change for you, or you are looking for something that is for you in your personal life, you can do your exercises, you can create the spells, you can sing the spell songs. You can also trust that if it's meant for you, it will appear. If it's not meant for you, it ain't coming, right? Remember Garth Brooks, God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Same goes for Goddess. If it's not meant for us, it isn't going to happen, no matter how much we wish it. But for us to go ahead and create energy and create spellcrafts, we have to believe that there is a higher power that we work with and that has a blueprint of what is consciousness and divine energy for all of us. So for now, I think one of the last things I want to say is that magic comes from within you. And there's a saying, if you're not right inside, either nothing will work or all chaos will break loose. So if you're doing something magical and you are putting your power to something that is not meant to be yours, you will create chaos and unrest in the world. And all magic is known already, but only to the few and not the many. So ask me, why? Why has magic and magic knowledge been given to certain people and not others? Well, if you see the chaos that is going on, especially in this town these days, where everybody wants to be a teacher and everybody wants to be a spellcaster and everybody wants to be a priestess, whether they are ready for that or not, it causes heartache and heartbreak. If you don't know what you're doing, the least that will happen is nothing. The worst that it can happen is that you become possessed or harmed or hurt, or you're hurting somebody else. So I would like today to ask you to really examine yourself. Look at your life. Look at what you have. I'm not going to go all Catholic on you and say, for what we have received, may the Lord make us truly grateful. But in a way, that is an ancient saying. Count your blessings. Count what you have got rather than what you haven't got. The most issues that we have in this day and age, the most things that people are asking for these days is, hang on, I've got a message, is because some people are asking for something that is not meant for them right now. Let me see what the message is. Got it. So where's the message? Bear with me. One new message. Can you talk a few words about chaos magic, please? So yeah, chaos magic is actually a quite what I would call a recent construct. If you're talking about the chaos magic that was used by people like Julian Vane, if you don't know who he is, he's quite famous for this. I was actually involved with chaos magicians for quite a while, and they are a hoot, because what they're doing is, instead of sticking to one particular pathway, they are saying that energy comes from different, you can mix and match different pathways. So if you're a Wiccan, you just do Wiccan rituals and Wiccan spell crafting, and you follow the word according to Gerald Gardner. If you are a druid and you are following, let's say, Obot's teachings, then you are in a particular, almost like a vice of how to do magic. What chaos magicians are saying is that all energy is magic. And I will tell you, I mean, chaos magic is a massive topic. And, you know, if you're really interested in chaos magic, do check out Julian Vane's work. But one of the things that we once did when I was in Swansea, I can talk about this now because the coven no longer exists. We were trying to raise energy in order to create a better life for a homeless person. Yeah. And we were thinking about how would we raise energy. Now, usually when you are trying to raise energy, you can drum, you can sing, you can clap your hands, you can do movement, you can do all sorts of things. That night, because we needed a lot of energy, we started hitting each other with rubber chicken, who give an almighty squawk. If you've ever seen a rubber chicken, my kids have got some, you know, they make a hell of a noise, right? And we literally chased each other around the hall where we were working with rubber chickens, hitting each other with rubber chickens. In the end, we were rolling on the floor with laughter. We were screeching with laughter. But the energy that we created, now you could call that chaos energy. But, you know, and the master of ceremonies, what we did earlier, put all the energy in the net, put it all together, compacted it, and then used it for a particular working for that person to find a place to live. And within a couple of weeks, the person did have a place to live. It did work. But that was what I learned from the chaos magicians that I worked with, is that different ways of working. Aleister Crowley, I would say, was in his heart a chaos magician, because he didn't play by the rules. They don't play by the rules. That has to be done by somebody who has a master. He has to be a master magician. He has to be very, very, very clever at what he does. You can't just go ahead and do this work. Chaos magic, for some people, probably looks like it's a bit of a lark and it's a little bit of a joke and everybody can do it. Not so. You have to be a master magician in order to create the right balance between reverence and mirth. Do you remember the charge of the goddess? Come to me with reverence and mirth. So it's both laughter, but also reverence towards the divine. I don't know if that helped for you, but it's definitely an amazing topic, and maybe I'll do a bit of work on that. Although I do feel that there are chaos magicians out there that probably far better, placed to answer that question than myself. But I do say that I worked for 2 years with a bunch of chaos magicians, and it was amazing work. But again, what we did is we set an intent. If you want something, if you want to manifest something, You have to be detailed. You have to be clever. You have to write down exactly what you need and when you need it. One of my colleagues had been alone for the longest time, and she wanted somebody in her life, and she did a wonderful spell, and we did it really well, detailed. What are you looking for? What is it that you, yeah, blah blah blah. Even, if you want a 6'2" blonde, ask for a 6'2" blonde. Don't be coy. Don't be coy. There's no point in you saying, well, I don't really mind what he looks like. Well, you have to be attracted to him, and if 5'5" dark haired chaps don't do it for you, ask for a 6'2" blonde. But what she didn't specify is when she would meet him and where she would meet him. And what happened is she met him 2 weeks before she moved to another place in the country. So they had 2 beautiful weeks together, and then she moved away. And I said to her, seriously, the worst thing you could do is not to be detailed. Be detailed down to the last moment. What is it you want? When do you want it? How would you like it to be presented? Etc. and etc. Now, the inner magic within you, wishing is not spell. Wishing is not a spell. And there, like I said, be careful what you wish for. You may just get it. I once did a spell for a job. I thought it would be the perfect job for me. And I did not magic. Now, you will be able to look up not magic or candle magic or water magic and whatever you do anywhere. But remember that that spell that you read online or you read in a book or whatever is a beginning. You have to make it your own, and you have to write it for what you want. And you have to imbue it with the magic that you wish to see happen. So I asked for this job, and I did my nut magic, and as I was, burying the knots, I heard a voice say to me, be careful what you ask for, you might just get it. It was a great paid job, wasn't far from home. It was fantastic work that I really loved. What I hadn't specified was that I would get a boss that didn't put his hands down my blouse. I lasted 6 months. Then I slapped him and walked out. So what you get, what you ask for, be specific. Next time I'll ask for a woman's boss. But be specific in what you need, because there's always a payoff. There's always a payoff for what you're asking for. So have you got any other questions for me for today? Because there will be more of this. I would like to talk some more about sacred geometry with you. I would like to talk some more. Obviously, in an hour and a half, I can't really, go that deep. But what you have to understand for yourself is that you are a powerful being and that you're worthy of what you ask for. But you have to be sensible. And, you can wish on a star, but creating a spell for something, you have to remember that every spell has consequences. As you're changing, as you're using your power to make a change in the world. So, for example, the job I asked for, because I forced my will and I got that job, the person who probably should have had the job, who probably wouldn't have had such a bad experience, didn't get the job. So we always have to remember that there is a payoff of sorts. So what is it that you wish to do? How can you do it? Dream it, think it, give it voice, speak it, talk to the full moon. Full moon is on the 10th. What is it that you want? Write it down. And if you want to, in the old Wiccan ways, do it in rhyming endings. Can't remember what it's called, but like a poem. Write it like a poem. And last but not least, now this is one of the ones that you can get in Avalon. I mean, it is so over the top. Look at this thing. It is just so beautiful. It's made by a chap that is on the White Spring. If you're anywhere near us, you've probably seen it. It's got lots of sea turtles on it, and it has an aqua aura crystal to direct the magic. I don't usually use a wand, not at all. But these days, with the energy so skew with, these days, a wand may well be a good tool to have. And this one, for now, I've got lots of wands, but this one, I just loved it. And I just thought, it's so terribly over the top. It's so me. I love it. But I also believe that aqua aura energy is very, very healthy at the moment. All the crystals that have aura, so a lot of the crystals are dipped in particular auric fields and auric energies. These are the crystals for the future. But that's just an aside. So, any questions from you for me that I can answer for you before we go? And you can unmute yourself if you like. No? You're all right?
Hi, B. I'm Sabrina. Yes,
I know Sabrina.
Yes, I did the other question, and I have another one because you talk about the rage when you. What happened when you make magic from your rage to get and not from love? I want you to explain a little bit that, please.
Yeah. So we believe we have two different kinds of rages. In our tradition, there is the sacred rage. That is the rage, that is the fire that especially women hold in their womb, but men in their hara as well, where they have a rage against injustice, against violence, against harm, against women and children. Yeah, it's that rage of righteous rage, they're almost saying. So we're not sending hatred, but it's the fire of that rage that fuels, that is the energy for our spell crafting. We literally do what we did with the other, instead of creating it, it comes from inside. It's not anger, it's rage that is white hot, that is very, very targeted, that is we're not wishing anybody dead, or we're not trying to harm anybody, because then we're no better than, we're not part of the solution, we're part of the problem. But that righteous rage, that anger about things that are not right, is actually what fuels the activism. I don't know where you're from, but for example, one of those things that I would like to talk about in that case is, the people of the resistance in France in the Second World War. It was their rage against the injustices that were perpetrated against their people and their country, and they gave their life for that. They knew what they were letting themselves in for, and that sacred rage, it costs us energy, it costs us time, but that's the sacred rage. When we have rage about something where we feel we're injured, so it is personal to us, it's we've been harmed, somebody said something, somebody's done something, somebody's out of order, and we use that kind of rage. That rage is where everything goes wrong, because instead of coming from compassion and from love and from peace, we come from rage that is, you know it's personal. It's sorry, darling, there's somebody coming in. It's a personal profit kind of rage. Do you understand where the difference lies? So, for example,
Yes.
freedom fighters have a rage that keeps them going, keeps them moving, knowing that they will probably die.
Yes, I asked this. I live in Spain, but
Mhm.
I am from Argentina. But I asked this because I know a man that he told me that he has a lot of rage about his life, and he started to do magic to release the rage, and he feels better. But I think this is the dangerous magic because
It's a little bit like when you have a wound, yeah, and your wound is closed, but underneath there is pus. Do you know what I mean by that? And there's an infection. Very often a doctor goes and he lances the wound, and the pus comes out and he can clean, and then the wound can heal. If he does it like that, is if he does it to cleanse and heal himself, and if that's the intention, he says, then it should be okay. But if he does magic to harm others, let's say he feels like somebody has done something to him that is, he's worked against him, he's taken his job, or he's taken his wife, or whatever, and he does magic to harm that person, then that is not a good idea, because magic will rebound and it will come back on the person themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect. And another question I have around this is, if you feel rage, you attract it in the other realm energies that has to do with the rage, or lighter beings, or how does it work?
So this is what we're talking about, sacred rage, right? Sacred rage is the fire in the womb, is the fire in the heart, is the fire in the head that goes, right, no more of this. Let's say your neighbor has a child that constantly, and they constantly smack the child or hurt the child, and you know that. The wrong thing to do would be to keep your gob shut. But sometimes people are worried about being attacked by that person and their family being attacked by that person. So here I would use magic to reveal his cruelty to the right people, to the authority, and that magic would be fueled by the sacred rage that I feel at the way he treats his child. I would use my sacred rage for good, not against him, but for the child. And it's really, this is why I said early on, it's important to make that absolutely clear in your head, in the realms around you. This is not revenge. This is not an attack. This is to the best of the intentions for the child that is being harmed, or the woman that's being harmed, or the man that's being harmed. Depends on what it is. As long as you feel you have a pure heart and pure intention in your work, you can use that rage as a fuel. Yeah. So, for example, I got upset about something on Facebook and what goes on around here in Avalon. Instead of going on Facebook and saying, you bloody so and so, I said, you know what? I'm going to go and do a workshop for free for people. And I'm going to talk about magic, my favorite thing, and how to use it for good. I want you all today to go out and do something, not today, but, whenever you feel ready, and do something like that little exercise with the ball. Create that ball and send it to a situation that needs help. That is what I'm asking you to do. That's what I want to teach people, is how to do magic in a way that we can make this world a better place, that we can make this less troubled times.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very
And
clear.
I've got a question from Cornelia. Are we allowed to send energy without having been asked for energy? Now, the problem, of course, is that let's say I'm sending energy directly to a situation. I trust that Cerridwen will take the energy, or whatever goddess or god you're working with will take the energy and place it where it is needed the most. Yeah. If I send energy to somebody that hasn't asked for it, if it is energy that can strengthen them, that can make them healthier and all of that, it could be okay. Talk to Cerridwen. I talk to Cerridwen and I say to her, Cerridwen, I want to send my next door neighbor some energy. His wife's not very well, but he doesn't understand what I do. So would it be okay to send him something? And then I wait for the answer. If she says yes, I'll do it. If she says no, I don't do it. Cerridwen knows best. Goddess knows best. Your guides and helpers know best. We are just the vessel. We are just the hands and the heart that does the work. Yeah. So send what you need to send. It's when people say, I'm going to send you healing. That's a different kettle of fish. That is different, because then you're interfering in a process. If somebody is sick, no matter how sick they are, I know it's hard. We don't send healing unless we're asked to do so. What's the difference? Healing is an interference in a process. Energy is as if I'm giving you a piece of chocolate, or if you're a car, I put some fuel in you. I give you extra strength, and then you can do your process. If I send somebody healing and it's the wrong healing for what they're going through, I could actually do harm. So we don't do that. We don't send healing. We send energy. And that's a very different thing, yeah? Does that work? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah? So there you are. And it is for the highest good, always for the highest good. And sometimes, Cerridwen says, don't do anything. Let them do it themselves. And that's the hardest part, isn't it? Especially when you see your child suffering, or somebody in your family, or somebody you love suffering, and you think, why can't I do something? And this is where I said earlier on, there is such a thing as blood magic and death magic, but those are very dangerous things, and they are only for people who really, really, really know what they're doing. So I am going to let you know when we are going to get together again in one of our little workshops. There is in the invitation a tiny little thing from Coffee. If you would like to leave a donation, it is for the Temple of Cerridwen. But your presence here is so appreciated, and I really, really thank you. What I will do now is I'm going to say thank you to all the guides and helpers and all the beings in Cerridwen, and then I will release you all into the wild. But please do join me next time when we are talking a little bit more about sacred geometry and how these symbols have been part of our human development and human magic since the dawn of time. So thank you, Cerridwen, for your presence in our life. Thank you for your magic. Thank you for your kindness, your love. Thank you for the hope that you give. I thank you for releasing the sacred rage and taking it, the energy of love, into the places where they need to go. Thank you for filling me with your love and your light as always. And thank you to all the guides and helpers of all the people who are here tonight. Thank you to all the goddesses and goddesses. Thank you for your beautiful presence. Blessed be. Blessed be, darlings. See you soon. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you. Bye-bye.
Lots
Bye-bye,
of love.
everyone.
Take care. Bye, sweethearts. Bye-bye-bye.
Bye.